Okay, welcome, sisters. I'm so glad to have you here today. It is April 10th, 2022. And today we are going to do something that actually downloaded in the bathtub for me yesterday, which I'm calling the White Rose Activation. So I'm going to give you a little backstory as to how and why that came about. And before I do that, let's just take a few moments to ground and center ourselves. So as always, if it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes and just take a moment to settle in. Give yourself permission to come home to your center in whatever way feels right for you, allowing the breath to expand and open you as light pours in, to awaken the remembrance of your eternal self, the witness to all that unfolds in the earth walk. Letting the exhale release what does not serve you, even as the inhale brings in more support, more love, more gentleness with yourself and with the world. Breathing at a pace that works for you. Feel your sits bones. Make some adjustments to the body as feels right for you so that your spine is straight. Shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Feel the palms of your hands. Feel the back of the heart and breathe in. Exhaling through the front. Inhaling from the back of the heart, receiving light, exhaling it out to the world. Good. Feel the top of the head. And notice how it's possible just by your intention and attention to actually become very focused and aware of a specific part of the body. This is a great way to relax yourself when you feel tense, and also to bring yourself into present moment awareness. Take another breath now into the heart and exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see, do I have announcements? Well, we are we're past the halfway mark of Return of the Priestess 3. So we have a few more days and then the replay weekend. And on Easter Sunday, a week from today, but in the afternoon, we have the live closing ceremony. So I hope you can join us for that. And I hope you each have been getting lots of value and support and good vibrations from an uplift from the summit, aligning with the speakers that that resonate for you. Okay, so White Rose activation. There's two reasons for this. I'm going to give you the backstory and then lead in, and then we're going to do it together. So one is that as we come to this end of a spiritual season, this end of Kali Yuga, changes are rapid, and those who have benefited from us being dead asleep to the power of our eternal power, of how powerful we are, of course, they're not too keen on us waking up. So they're doing lots of things, as we know. So those who live in cities may find it very challenging, and already possibly, depending on where you live in the world, as things rapidly change. Why? Because changes in supply, the supply chain, possible breakdowns, more difficulty growing one's own food and accessing resources, and generally having to navigate what we could call ascension madness. So the folks who are not on an ascension path, or I don't want to say that because we're all ascending, how do I want to say this? Those who are not managing their shadow material are getting shaken up more and more. And so when we live around a lot of people, it makes it more challenging. I'm going to let Alia in here. So this white rose activation is specifically for anchoring light and love frequency in cities around the world, in big and medium-sized cities around the world. So that's what we're going to be doing. And so one of the reasons why we're doing that is because we know that big cities are going to be harder places to navigate. So we want to provide extra resources and power to our sisters and brothers there, extra light. So that's one of the reasons. The other has to do with something I came across on the internet. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. So I want to connect in and explain this a little bit. Maybe some of you have seen this. Whew. So misinformation and disinformation and controlled opposition. These are words that are at play in the information war that we are in as a planetary family. So I forget who it was who said this. I can't remember. The best way to control the best way to deal with your opposition is to control it. So I came across some information the other day that I'm seeing spread around the internet by light workers with the highest of intention, which I think is actually controlled opposition disinformation. And I'm concerned that it's spreading and creating the wrong consciousness, which is the other reason why this white rose activation came in last night when I was in the bathtub. So with my crystals and my rose scented Dead Sea salts. So there is a series of videos that are, you know, when you have the audio recording that's actually a computer, and they're saying they're these like good guys who came across the a tool called the looking glass that lets you see into the future. Amy's nodding. I think she may have heard this too. And they tell this whole story about how you can program everything, any different scenario in, but in the end, around 2030, there's a light activation that awakens humanity. So those who don't want humanity to awaken have tried lots of different ways to change that. And there's a whole story about how now they're going to, you know, do this problem, that problem, this problem, basically 8 more years of causing total abuse of humanity, and that they've invented a vaccine for themselves that will allow them, when the light activation comes, will first of all kill off most of the population, but will give them superpowers. And, you know, it's presented and rolled out in a way that almost sounds feasible until you think we just have to think for a moment and get out of the fear, because I felt fear first too, especially when they tell all the negative things they want to do for the next 8 years and how we have to stop it now and all this stuff. And we have to spread this information to everybody. Well, we have to remember that we are incredibly powerful beings. We are far more powerful in the light than in the darkness. So if we start focusing on all the terrible things that they plan to do between now and then, we're creating it for them. So we have to remember that that's not what we want to do. Now, the other thing is, let's think about this just reasonably for a moment. Gaia is ascending. Gaia is also, as part of our solar system, moving through the photon belt of very high frequency. We are being bombarded with high frequency plasmic light. The ascension and the end of spiritual season, the end of Kali Yuga, is almost here. Now, how on earth or in heaven could a light activation give more power? And this is the story they're saying they're going to have, the bad guys would have more power because of this vaccine they invented. It's madness. It's silly. It's a psyop is what it is. So light is information. Light is the frequency of God and love. And those who are not in the light do not get more power because they've invented some freaking vaccine. This is nonsense. It's patently absurd. So once we get back from the fear of the narrative that's being thrown out, then we can go, wait a minute, how does this make me feel inside? This makes me feel fear. That's a clue that this is not of God and of light. So sadly, I'm seeing this spread around the internet now from very good-hearted people who really want to make a difference, because the idea is that if a lot of us know about it, then it won't happen. Well, we're at a point where there's going to be some more negative things. I don't know if anyone knows what's happening in Shanghai. It's not good. They are locked up in their little tiny apartments. Think about Shanghai. There's millions and millions of people. They can't even take their pets for a walk. It's terrible. So there is some really evil afoot. And we have to remember that we, in the light of love, are far more powerful than any silly shenanigans, strategy, and money. So my counter to all of this, I sat in the bathtub with my crystals and my Dead Sea salt, rose-smelling Dead Sea salt, thinking, all right, I can see now, after having to process it a little bit, the fear around it, that this is not actually true, that there's no way that negative forces can be more powerful from light activation. They're going to be scrambling to try and get under the earth, if anything, or off the planet. But they know, and they do predictive programming. They've done it for years to get us to create what they want. So by disseminating this into the alternative web space, they get light workers to start fearing things like nuclear war. And they're putting that out, the nuclear war thing, they're putting that out in mainstream, but that's easy to control mainstream consciousness. You just put it on the news and everybody thinks it's going to happen. But the light workers are like, yeah, right, you're full of shit. So this is how it's done. It has to be more surreptitious, more under the radar, more sneaky, controlled opposition. So in my reflection, I was like, well, what's the antidote to the well-intended light workers who have watched these videos and now are carrying a fear frequency? It's to anchor love. It's to root in the light of love into places that would have high impact cities. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to go into a meditative state and reconnect with that download, and then just walk us through it, just guide us through this anchoring process. It was very beautiful when I experienced it yesterday. And so I'm excited to share this with you. So with that, if anyone has any questions or comments, I'm going to take a pause here, and you can go ahead and type it in the chat. I'm just going to wait for a moment. Actually going to pause the recording for this segment. Okay, so this is the meditation we're going to do now. So I want to invite you to make yourselves comfortable. And again, drop into that space. You can close your eyes and bring your attention inward to the inner realms. And take a few deep breaths at a pace that works for you, where the inhale expands the heart and the exhale drops the energy down, releasing through the bottoms of the feet and the base of the spine. Any thoughts, even the concepts I just shared with you, just releasing. Coming into full awareness of this present moment experience. And feel your consciousness in and around your body, where you're located in time and space right now. This is your home point where you will return at the end of this journey, because we're going to take a journey now. So I want to invite you now to rise in your consciousness. Let your consciousness rise up above your body, such that you're observing it. Maybe you're your consciousness is at the ceiling of your room you're in, or several feet overhead. And now rise up higher so that you can take in a bigger expanse of the earth, maybe your neighborhood, the town you live in. And rise up higher still until you're aware of the greater landmass in which your particular home is located. Good. And take a deep breath. And I want to invite you now to go to hover over a city that has particular connection for you. Maybe you live near it. Maybe you've lived there. Maybe you live there now. Maybe you just are interested or feel called to that city. Trust what comes and see yourself hovering over that city, looking down upon it, and just notice whatever it is you notice. And then when you're ready, let yourself float ever gently downward until you land in the heart of that city. And you know where that is. Trust what comes. And take a moment to look around you and notice what's happening. Cities generally have a lot of hustle and bustle. And regardless of where you are standing in your mind's eye, know that none of the hustle and bustle can disturb your presence. As you recognize all time and space is now, and that your consciousness is free to presence in any now moment, in any where and any when, any place, any time. And from this place now, breathe into the heart again, drawing in love light from the back of the heart and extending it outward through the front of the heart so that you surround yourself in a bubble of light. Breathing in, sending that light outward, expanding that bubble. Letting each breath inward fill you with light, and then each exhalation, expand that light around you. And you may notice sounds or movements in that place where you are now standing, presencing in consciousness. And you feel the way the light encompasses those city noises and movements and sounds, energies, so that it is really filling the entire space. All the nooks and crannies, the alleys, the broad avenues, over the tarmac, the sidewalks, in and around the structures. Good. And knowing that all time and space is now, and this gathering, as well as all the sisters who will watch this in another now moment, have the power to be in more places than one. As you stand in this ever expanding bubble of light, call now to your sisters all around the world to gather with you in circle in this, the heart of the city that you are serving as priestess of light. And welcome them as they arrive and come to stand in circle with you. And notice the way they are ensconced in bubbles of light as well. so that that light is pulsating and expanding into the heart of the city. And look upon the eyes and smiles of your sisters all around as you feel their hands in yours. Give a squeeze around the circle as the circle is complete. A large circle of many sisters, priestesses from all around the world in presence with you to activate the white rose of love light for this city. And so now notice the way you all draw your attention to the center of your great circle, where a rose bush appears. See it in your mind's eye, and notice and feel the way all your sisters all around the circle gaze upon this beautiful rose bush. And now together, we'll breathe into the heart and then out to this rose bush to nourish it so that it grows. So breathing in from the back of the heart, draw in light. See the way all around the circle we are drawing in light together from the backs of our heart, and exhale, offering that light to this rose. Again, breathing in, exhaling. And just like water and sunlight, and maybe even some nurturing vitamins and minerals, this love light is growing that rose bush. Each breath nourishing you, nourishing the circle, and nourishing this beautiful white rose plant that is growing in stature and size, in a multitude of blossoms, in roots that are reaching now beneath the tarmac or the cement or the sidewalk, whatever is there, reaching now, maybe it's even a park, reaching into the soil deeply, into Mother Earth, rooting with great strong roots, like a great oak tree, and yet it is a rose. A white rose bush, the color of purity, purity of intention, and the fragrance of love, love unconditional. And you may smell now the smell of this rose as it wafts around and within the circle. Each breath, letting the roots grow deeper, holding stronger, steadfast into the heart of this city as Mother Earth supports with her life force energy, feeding also this beautiful rose. Notice the way it grows and grows in stature, expanding tall like the high rises of the city, wide like a grand boulevard, such that it grows above, beyond, and around this heart of the city. The great rose of purity, of divine love, deeply rooted, rising high, fed by the sun, fed by Mother Earth, fed by the love of the priestesses united in the light of divinity. And notice now the way the beautiful fragrance of this pure white rose expands to reach every nook and cranny of the city, through all the alleyways, the boulevards, the side streets, sweeping around the buildings, rolling across the grounds, hugging the trees and the branches, giggling almost in delight. And now notice the way the fragrance and the light of divinity unite such that they are one and the same. The smell of the rose, the purity of it is its light, is the divine light of pure love intended to uplift, support, nourish, and allow that light now to reach into the buildings, interpenetrating the structures of this city. And down beneath the ground, if there are subways or other pathways beneath the ground, interpenetrating the earth so that this light and this beautiful scent of the rose that stirs awakening to love saturates, permeates, interpenetrates every aspect of this city, every structure, every vehicle, every tree, every blade of grass, every airspace above, around, and below. The deeply rooted, surely strong white rose of pure divine love is now a set anchor of grace, of support for the peoples and the animals that live in this city. And trust and know that even in this powerful intent, the free will of all is honored. For while this beautiful light and the beautiful scent swirls and saturates every space in this city, each individual soul has the free will choice to receive and take it in or not. Each is honored for their own path. And yet, this love is available to all. This support, encouragement, when a prayer is called out for support, this white light, white rose is available, fed and nurtured by the priestesses who have come to support this awakening. And so take a moment now to just bask in this beautiful energy, understanding, knowing, inner standing that you are a powerful creator and it is your intention and attention and the deep feelings that make it so. And so take a moment to feel the grace, the beauty, the purity of divine love birthed into earth, given unconditionally and received tenfold. Feel the way this light surrounds and interpenetrates every cell in your own body, and the way your higher self witnesses and holds the field and the container for this great work. Take a moment to look around the circle at your sisters. Some faces you may recognize, others you may not. And yet we all stand in the knowing of this intention, this blessing for our sisters and brothers of this city, your assignment, if you will, to support. Now let us give a squeeze around the circle, squeezing hands to feel the power of sealing this intention. It is so, it is so, it is so. This rose, this white rose of divine light is available now, anchored in this city, to support every sister, brother, animal, creature that is living here, with love and honoring the free will of all. And now together, Let us rise up, holding hands. We rise up now in a circle, rising up, up, up above the city, up above that grand rose that expands into the heart of the city. Mighty, invisible, but for those with eyes to see. We see this beautiful rose. Rising higher still, we see the greater landscapes surrounding the city. Rising higher still, we begin to see the other cities where our sisters have planted and rooted their white rose. Rising higher still, we begin to see magnificent white roses, massive plants, greater than the greatest plant we have ever seen, emanating love, light, and the beautiful fragrance all over the cities of our beloved earth. Remembering that all time is now and all space is here, we see Gaia in all those locations where she has been paved over by great cities, the most magnificent white roses growing, to be a source of life, hope, support, and love. She feeds them, we feed them with our love and our intention. And again, as we circle high above the earth, holding hands in this great circle, flying above, look around the circle to see your sisters, how great our number has become. And with smiling eyes and a smiling heart, give a squeeze to each of your sisters, holding hands, squeezing, and then coming together in a big hug. We hold each other for a moment with gratitude and remembrance of why we came. Taking a deep breath, smiles in our hearts, smiles on our faces. We part now to return, to fly back above our own home, our own location. And when you're ready, descending down into your physical body with your consciousness in this time space. Take a deep breath into the heart. Exhale, letting that exhale bring you fully back into the body. Feeling the bottoms of the feet. Feeling the base of the spine, giving a Kegel squeeze to ground you into your root chakra, reestablishing the connection between body, mind, and spirit. Feel the palms of your hands. Feel the beat of your heart. Feel the top of your head. Come back to the lower belly now, feeling the womb space, placing both hands on the womb, the lower belly. Take a deep breath in. Exhaling out the base of the spine and the bottoms of the feet, fully established in your body. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes, being fully awake, fully alert. 1. Coming fully into the body now. 2. And 3. Open your eyes, fully awake, fully alert. So, thank you. And know that you can revisit your city anytime to give it, that rose, more love, and honor and acknowledge and recognize that we have the power to transform the world by being a blessing. by being in this love state and by not letting fear overtake us. So thank you for sharing that with me.